Hello,
All right.
everyone. Welcome to the SaaS podcast. Today we have Karsten Madsen with us. Karsten here runs a company called MorningScore. Hey, Karsten, welcome to the show.
Hey, hey, Upendra. Really awesome to be here.
All right, Karsten. So let's try to understand what MorningScore does. Right? What does the product do, and why do customers pay you money?
Yeah, why do they pay money? And we are in a very competitive industry, the SEO tools industry. So basically, ranking number one on Google and how to do that. There are plenty of online tools for that. And I don't know, I got this crazy idea to create another such tool. Looking back, it probably wasn't so smart because there's so many competitors, and I've learned the hard way that if you go into a competitive industry, you're gonna face a lot of challenges. So why should they pay money for our tool? That's probably what I spend the most time thinking about. And our main argument so far is we've gamified the whole experience of growing your SEO. And it sounds silly, but actually it's what makes the difference. So if you're a beginner, you will learn SEO through our gamification. So we give you missions, we suggest things that you do, and you complete those missions and you earn XP, and then you level up in the tool and it's all cool and you get motivated. You get these green check marks and so on. And if you're an expert, we have our data is pretty deep, and the tool and the functionality of the tool is also quite deep, which means that most experts will be plenty fine with all the tools we've got. And that extra motivation of leveling up as they grow their customers or their own SEO is actually what a lot of experts tell us makes them choose our tool instead of, let's say, Ahrefs or SEMrush or whatever out there, at least as a daily driver. And then they use those tools when they need something specific from those. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
why people pay us money so far.
that's a pretty interesting, positioning, right? So gamification in SEO industry. We'll come back to that. So I just want to understand your customer base so that we can
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back and talk about how it's working for you, your unique positioning that I've seen. It's so help me understand like how much revenue were you doing last month approximately?
Yeah, so our MR is roughly 50K in dollars. And the dollar
Yeah,
keeps going up, so I have to keep
yeah.
adjusting, but that's around that number. Customers, 800 actively paying customers, like almost 850.
Mhm.
And how the revenue on a yeah, we make almost the MR on a monthly basis, to be honest. So that's
Sure.
pretty close
And
to the
then
MR.
where were you say 12 months before?
So yeah, 12 months before we were at roughly 30,000 MR.
Got it. All right. So you, let me just understand how big these customers are, right? So what sort of customers do you have? Who are these customers? Are they agencies? Or do you have any specific segment that you're targeting? Or like explain how these customers look like? Because I know it's a big product, vast product. Like anybody in the world can use your tool. Are you focusing on someone? Like how does the customer base look like today?
Yeah, so web shops, so that's e-commerce and agencies. And when I say agencies, I mean all kinds of agencies. Can be digital agencies, can be SEO consultants, can be all kinds of agencies that work with digitalization are using. That's the two primary groups, and those are the ones we focus on. And how do we get those I mean, how do we reach those
That's my
groups?
next question. So
Okay.
let's do it systematically because there's a lot of journey involved in here. And so I want you to sort of look at your last year's sort of growth, right? And help me understand where you got all of those new customers from first. First of all, what channels have been working for you?
I think the biggest growth factors, especially if we talk about the beginning, I think that's actually the most interesting for you,
Mhm.
is a few things. So, email marketing, I think, especially because it's not really legal in Denmark where we started out. And I didn't know at the time. So I scraped some very good email lists of web shop owners, so e-commerce owners, and I got like 3,000 of them, and I think we got like 10 customers out of that. So like some of our 10 first customers, just by emailing them all and saying, hey, there's this new cool Danish tool, like patriotism, it always works. And the same with agencies, so just direct email.
These are
But
cold
we
emails,
try
right? So they absolutely know
cold
nothing about
email,
you.
cold. We didn't know anything about them, and we didn't even try to make it smart, or we didn't do any follow-ups, anything like that. But I sent them through my personal inbox. I didn't use any tool. I used actually some very old school mail merge tools from Microsoft, the Office suite. That's actually an amazing tool. Like I was like, whoa, this is way better than some of these advanced modern tools. Anyway, can show you later. But so that's one of the first things I did.
So,
And then I stopped.
just help me close that story, right? So like it's really hard to imagine that you would get a bunch of customers just by doing that. So what, like if I were to send it from my personal email saying that I've got some new fancy tool, why would they even care about? So what really worked according to you there? Was it that
Um,
patriotism that you were mentioning, or was it something else?
Patriotism helps. I think I made a really good email, to be honest.
Okay, so you you're being too modest
I
then.
killed it. No, there was some patriotism, and some people knew me personally from network and so on. And I think the fact that we gave them a very good deal, giving a very good, I told them the first 50 customers get a very good deal. That always works.
Okay, so were you playing along the line of pricing? So
Yeah. What?
so like were you offering them like this for crazy low prices, or what was that initiative?
Yeah, well, half price. I wouldn't call it crazy low, but that was like a pioneer discount that was way lower than we would give today, right? So that helped. Yeah.
So let's move forward. So you've got those 10 customers. So what happened after that? When was this,
Well,
by the way?
okay.
Which year was this?
2018,
2018.
2018, end of 2018. So how we grew from there is more of a classic story. We started doing a lot of SoMe, just posting. I started doing videos on LinkedIn that started really catching some traffic. SEO, we're an SEO tool. We do our own SEO. And that's probably like 40% of our revenue, new customers.
Mhm.
So new revenue coming in is from SEO today. And actually we want to go double. We want to double down on that because we see that it's just the cheapest channel for us. Works really well. We've tried, Google Ads. That was pretty effective too, but quite expensive because, the competition is high in my industry. We've done Facebook ads. We've done a lot of things, Quora ads. We've done a lot of things, but none of them. So I don't have anything bad to say about Facebook ads, but I want to remind people who do that it almost takes a full-time position, like a full-time job to keep creating new, they call it creatives, to keep creating new content that you can push on Facebook. And why, you might ask? Because everything dries up so quickly on Facebook. Your audience get tired of the same ad very quickly. And Facebook is not very good at showing your ad to new audiences. And you have to work so hard to get them to do it. So my experience, and I've worked with some of the smartest Facebook people, consultants in the world, and they all tell me you need a mean content machine to be strong on Facebook ads. So, and then I told them, okay, so you're telling me I need a full-time content person to even be relevant for Facebook ads. So then if you think about it, you need to, at least in Denmark, a full-time content person is quite expensive. Someone who's very good at graphics or content, it's quite not cheap.
Yeah.
So you have to add that on top of your Facebook ad expenses. And then when you calculate, the CAC, the customer acquisition cost, what it costs to get a customer for Facebook ads, and you include the full cost, it's a very bad investment, in my opinion. So we stopped doing that.
All right. So yeah, you mentioned something, right? So like you experimented with a lot of those things. And so you
Yeah.
mentioned 40% of your new growth last year came from SEO. And where was that rest of 60% coming from?
So we did experiment a lot with Facebook ads. So we'll say 20% Facebook ads. SoMe is very hard to measure, as you know. So I have like a catch-all.
Yeah.
So like you could put like, the remaining 40% in SoMe, Google Ads. There's like 10, 20% there. And we also did some events. I was lucky enough to present at some conferences and so on. So I would call the rest just branding, like the remaining 20%, some kind of branding. Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's get back to your SEO part of it, right? So look, I mean, you run an SEO company, so you must be an expert in that, right? But still, just
Yeah.
imagining, right? So your the space in which you are in, it's pretty competitive. And to sort of make a dent via SEO is gonna take a lot of effort or something very creative. So what has really worked for you? Is there anything that you've done, any key insights that you found out, or what was your process like?
Yeah. So in terms of getting customers from our own SEO, if we're not talking product, but just the marketing of it, uh, I have to say the good old tactic of running alternative to pages. So because there are so many searches in my industry for competitors, I can also use that to my advantage. So there's many people who search for SEMrush. I think some people call it SEMrush, SE ranking, Ahrefs, all these tools. So I could create like alternative to Ahrefs on our website. That page would then rank high on some searches for Ahrefs alternative, when people Google that. And that traffic would be at least looking for an alternative, and then we would be there. And we've gotten at least a pretty decent amount of customers from that. And it's very cheap to do because you set up those landing pages and we're lucky enough to have a lot of links to our websites. We have a strong website. We have easy time ranking. So that was enough to gain some traction. So that was like the biggest trick we had. And then we've created some great blog posts that just keep creating traffic. That helps us a lot as well.
All right. But wouldn't that alternative part also wouldn't it be competitive as well? Because you've got like lots of products out there, right?
Yeah, it is very, but we don't have all the first place. We don't have the best spots on that because we're a small company. We don't have a huge SEO team that we can just
What's the keyword
dominate.
that drives most traffic to you?
So yeah, that's a very good question because I think actually at some point Ahrefs alternative was pretty good for us. We ranked quite high on it.
And what's that number? Is it in top 10, 20, 50?
Also, it depends country by country we measure. In Germany, it was number 1 at one point.
Oh, okay.
Now I think it's number 2 or 3. In United States, we're number 5 or 6. So yeah, it's not bad.
Yes, I think that makes sense. All right. All right. So now let's go back, and sort of look at your, funnel, right? So how does your bottom of funnel look like? So once you sort of, bring all of this, potential leads to your website, so what happens after that? How do you close them?
Yeah, so it's mostly self-service because, the price point starts around $60, so we can't afford to hire a sales team to close them. But I do have a few salespeople who, whenever there's a very good lead coming in, a big company or something that looks promising, they will contact them, but just by email.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have like this classic email flow that, we send a few emails during their trial to, talk a little bit about us and ask them some questions. And actually, we get a quite high interaction rate. I also send some emails from me personally, and I tell them that I'll reply, and obviously I do as well. And so a few times a week, I reply to people who ask questions, and my colleague the same. So yeah, that works post the trial sign up.
So
yeah.
Any plans to sort of go up market to increase your ACV? Is that something that you're working on, or are you still gonna sort of play around?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it up market necessarily because we have some of the biggest clients in the world right now.
What's the biggest ACV that you have?
So you're talking about in terms of money or just brand recognition?
Well, money, in terms of money.
Yeah, so that would be 10,000 AR, like annual.
Yeah.
ACV 10,000 ACV. Yeah. It's not huge, but we're in a
So I'm assuming you did not close this using your self-serve model, so you must have done something there to sort of close such a deal.
Oh, it was my network mainly. It helps. And that's, the tip of the iceberg, what people don't see, that I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years. Obviously I have some network that I can push such deals.
So now my question is, I know you've got these amazing, lead generation channels that are giving you leads consistently. And you also have, your network, and there are other possibilities that you could sort of explore with, right, to increase your ACVs and maybe go up market or increase that, ticket sizes, right? So what's the future going to look like?
But
my question is like, what's the future going to look like? For example, how are you going to go from 50K MRR to, let's say, 500K? So how does that journey look like for you?
Well, it looks very simple. We have tried a lot of things in the last 2 years and we've made a lot of mistakes. So our main challenge was we thought we were going to be only a tool for beginners because we thought there's so much money in that. Everyone wants a tool to learn SEO. Turns out it's a horrible idea. Beginners don't want to pay any money and they churn very fast. So it just was a bad business case. So what we've done now, we've said, okay, let's go back to what we used to do. We built an SEO tool for everyone. We're like the Volkswagen of SEO. We don't care if you're an expert or if you're a beginner. You belong with us because we're for the people. That's how we see it. So that means we're not going to be the most advanced tool, but we're definitely not going to be the simplest tool. So how we're going to grow big is to go head on head with the big tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, so on, by just outperforming them on intuitive features, not necessarily more features, but just better and more awesome features, and this gamification that just makes it so fun to be part of our journey instead of theirs. So that's a product talk. If you talk marketing, well, SEO is actually where we're going to bet a lot of our energy now, and then affiliate. I saw one of your earlier podcasts and he also talked about affiliate. Affiliate, I think, is here to stay, at least in the SaaS world. And I'm actually, this week, I've spent a lot of energy pushing different affiliate. I reach out to blogs and say, hey, you should mention our tool too. And I think at least short term, at least that could take us to to at least 200K MR. I didn't make a plan for 500K, to be honest.
Sure.
But to 200K, that should be the affiliate and the SEO. That's like where we're gonna push hard.
Makes sense. So now I'm gonna go back and talk about that positioning aspect, right? That unique factor that you have. So I'm gonna be blunt and I'm gonna ask you, is it really making an impact, or is it something that you're really using it to differentiate yourself from a competitor? Because if I look at your website, it's pretty obvious that you're an SEO tool, but you're very unique because you're trying to do something new. And I've never seen such a positioning in SEO game, right? I've seen tens of products, right? So how exactly is this working for you in terms of value that this positioning is generating for your customers?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, maybe a boring answer is we have some customer stories, and like what is really exciting for us is that we have a lot of customers who told us they never knew how to do SEO, or they were too bored to do it. Believe it or not, people are too rich these days, especially in my part of the world. They're like, I'm too bored to grow my company. And then they discover our tool, and we have a lot of customer stories on our website. So in depth and in detail, we show graphs of how they grew their traffic. And a lot of them tell us that, they have a huge increase in revenue because they found our tool and they started doing SEO, and, we motivated them to do it. So that motivation becomes somehow a key differentiator for us. But it's hard to tell people, hey, we can motivate you. It sounds stupid. So what we do instead, we say, just try our tool. And we try to make it very easy to sign up for our tool. I think we make it way easier than most of our competitors. But just, type in your website on the front page. Yeah, and just get going with your SEO within 2 minutes, no credit card, no nothing, right? So that's what I believe in. And we actually have a really cool feature where you just click on one button, one click, and you see our tool live. It's like a live demo. You don't need to do anything else. So I think those kind of things is helping us push enable us to show what we can do as a tool instead of talking about it, because it's really hard. When there are so many competitors, everyone's like, yeah,
Exactly.
And once they try it, they're like, oh, this is cool. And that's
that's what I was trying to understand, right? Is this that cool feature that you've got, right, that is really sort of helping you sort of maybe get more eyes on your product or get people to try out your product, or do you believe there is real value in it that people are able to extract out of it?
Yeah, well, the real value is, the motivation that it, makes you, like, some people go nuts when they use our tool. They want green everywhere, green check marks. So that's the real value.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we spend a lot of time on making the tool intuitive and it's really easy to use. So for a beginner, there's like instant value. For the expert, the value is mostly agencies. So if you have clients, you want to show them what you've done, and what the agencies are telling us, that when they use MorningScore, the clients get it. They understand the value of what they've done. So that becomes a real value as well. But those are the two only things. The rest, I would understand if people say, yeah, so you have keywords, so you have links, so you have an on-site section. I've seen that 200 times before. And yes, you've seen it 200 times before, because it has been there 200 times.
Yes.
That's not where we differentiate. We're the same on this one, and I completely agree with that.
Yeah. That's very interesting, actually. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so let's wrap this up, right? So when just wanted to understand how your team looked like today, as of today. How many folks in your team?
9 people.
9. And like how many in the GTM, go to market team?
So 2 in the go to market team. Is quite small.
And how many engineers?
3.
3 engineers. Got it. And like how many founders? Are you just a solo founder?
2 founders.
2 founders.
Me and the CTO. I am very happy to have a strong CTO. Yeah. And we're going to kick the other SEO tools' ass because we have the technical foundation.
so I'm to be honest, right? I'm struggling to understand how you manage to build a product like this with just 3 engineers. I mean, because I could imagine what goes into building a product like this, right? So I mean, you've got to go out and scrape everything in the internet, literally everything, because that's what your product basically does, right? So it's really amazing.
So our shortcut is providers. So okay. Ahrefs, yeah, I'll tell you exactly how we do it. So Ahrefs and SEMrush, they built their own databases and they scrape the entire internet. I'm not gonna, and they do some things which I'm not gonna say here on this podcast, but it's not all, okay. So if you want to play that game, it's really hard in terms of scraping. There are legalities. There are a lot. Yeah. So anyway, so what we do, we just work with partners. So instead of building this huge database, whenever you type in a website in our tool, immediately we draw from 7 different data partners. So that's our approach. And what we see, at least in many cases, we can get more data than some of the other SEO
Sure.
tools because we're data agnostic. We're like, okay, this partner over here has some data. Okay, we take some from them. This partner over here has some data. Okay, and then we compare the data and try to repair it, and in that way, by having several data partners, there we can get the best quality out there. Not always, but we are pretty good on data.
So now an interesting question here, right? So like how much cut do these sort of partners actually take from you? And let's try to quantify that. For example, for every dollar you make, how much do you end up giving these data providers?
That's very easy. For every dollar, I would say for every $10 we make, we have to give away two. That's just data costs.
Yeah.
Just data costs. On top of that, you'll have server costs and so on. So it's more like 3 actually, if you include our server costs.
So 70 is your is what you sort of, so 30 is your sort of cost of goods. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's still really amazing. I mean, because in SaaS world, it's typically 20-25. Even if you're just selling a software, the servers itself will take up 20% of your overall sort of costs.
Yeah, I guess it's not too bad.
Then that's pretty cheaper, I guess. Then I think that is really amazing. Yeah.
It depends. If you buy our most expensive plan, we actually make the least amount of money because then we give you a lot of credits for a lot of keywords and so on for a little, and then we make then it's opposite. Then we only make 30% on you, but that's normal.
That's interesting. I think that's one secret that you've revealed here today.
And one more, I don't care.
Yeah, that's really amazing, to be honest, because I never really knew. Like I just looked at your product and I was like, how on earth did you build this? I mean, it's really, really hard. In terms of data, obviously. The product still have you still need to build the software, but the data part is really critical, right? You need tons of engineers sitting out and scraping. But if you can just get it for like 20% of the cost, I mean, that's just really amazing.
We're not even afraid to disclose where we get it from because we are all about honesty and openness because we think that's how you can look at our data. So I have a list of 7 providers and we have it on our website so everyone can look. And they're very good providers. I think they do a great job.
Awesome. That's great. And did you raise any money as of today to build your company?
Yeah, we raised a total of $1 million. Yeah.
And who did you raise this money from? Is it venture capital?
Mostly angels. Yeah.
And so what are their expectations from you going forward? I mean, it's not your
way too high. Expect us to grow big, but I think given the current situation in the world, they also just expect us to run a good business. We don't have time to talk about it, but this year has been crazy for us because we thought we were going to go VC, but it turns out we're not really ready for VC, or maybe we're not relevant for VC because we don't grow fast enough. We grow like 100% a year, but that's just the minimum you need to grow in VC at our stage. We think it's fine, but they want more. So we spend a lot of money preparing for that. But now we realize that in the current market, all we want to do now is become cash flow positive. So we spend less money than we get. And we're currently on a journey to do that. We currently burn money, but within 12 months, we should be cash flow positive. So that's my current goal. And I'm really looking forward to that day where I can finally say, yes, we're a real business now. We make more money than, of course, we're a real business and we're doing well. But it's a nice feeling to make more money.
Yeah. I'm sure you're gonna reach there, much sooner than what you're sort of predicting. Right. So what's the future look like? What's the vision here? Like 5 years down the line, are you still gonna take that VC route, or are you gonna build a sustainable company and maybe sell it off?
I'm never gonna sell. That's not my ambition. I hate that. I don't like it. I want to build a very cool company. I want to build the coolest SEO tool out there. We want to be a top 3 SEO tool in the world. That's one of our goals. Not in 5 years, but in 10 years. We're realistic. We're just going to keep pushing. And yeah, for me, this is my second company. For me, when I build a company, it's all about creating the coolest workplace. So I care a lot about my employees. I care a lot about our customers. I just want to build a great place where people love to go to work. And so that's actually the most important thing for me. Of course, we want to grow and so on, but building a cool product and having a cool workplace, then I don't really care about how big.
You certainly got a cool product. I can see that. All right, Karsten. Yeah, I hope you scale MorningScore to much greater heights. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you a lot, Upendra.